Uh-oh.
Been brought here today, I feel a bit disrespected. I feel like
So it's like a bit of a shambles, to be honest.
I got told to come to the presser today that I'm going to be announced on the card, and I've come here and I don't really know what's going on. I don't know why I'm here, but I haven't been announced. So I was told weeks ago I was fighting on this card. Yeah, weeks ago. So yeah, I'm just a bit annoyed, to be honest. I've been brought here today, I feel a bit disrespected. I feel like if it was at the start of my career, I'd be like, do you know what? But I feel like in my career, I've proven myself time and time again. And, you know, I get it if I was asking for an easy touch on this card. I'm not. In fact, I was going to fight a world champion, which was agreed on both ends. And for some reason, it's not come through. So we're all struggling to figure out what's actually going on here.
Yeah, it's just like all up in the air. So it's like a bit of a shambles, to be honest. Again, they got Savannah Marshall all the way down from Newcastle. She's not even on the top table as well. Like what? I can't see.
What she's done for women's boxing as well.
She made this. She made this. She was the trailblazer.
That is Francesca Hennessy, who has been left a bit confused, bewildered, as to why she was summoned to the Jonas versus Price kickoff press conference when her fight wasn't even announced. She is intended to box on the undercard of that show, though with her fight not having been announced. Why was she there? Why was she called upon? If that is an indictment on anyone, it's an indictment on Ben Shalom, on Boxer, that things are in shambles, as Bradley Skeet so adequately put it. Skeet. Francesca Hennessy, the young daughter of veteran promoter Mick Hennessy, who sports a professional record of 5 wins with no losses, no draws, 1 recorded knockout, and I've seen her. She's good. She's got potential.
A lot of fighters do this early on. We'll see how much potential she has as her career progresses.
She campaigns in the women's super bantamweight division. Super bantamweight. That's where Ellie Scottney holds the IBF and WBO titles. That's where Mexico's own Yemi Mercado's got the WBC, and Argentina's own Nazarena Romero has the WBA. That is where Francesca Hennessy campaigns, at least momentarily, by the time that young Francesca is ready to challenge for an alphabet title. The landscape may have considerably changed.
Maybe.
Ellie Scottney is going to be in action this weekend in defense of her 2 alphabet titles against New Zealand's own Miyamoto. She's in the process of trying to unify this division and become its undisputed champion. It's conceivable that by year's end, Ellie may have done that.
All while young Francesca makes her bones in the paid ranks, in the pro ranks.
Francesca debuted as a professional in September of 2023. She fought 2 times that year and 3 times last year. Last in action in October against Ana Carla Vaz de Marias.
That's a mouthful.
There was a plan to put young Francesca in the ring with former champion Shannon Courtenay. Shannon was intended to have a fight in the interim and then go straight into a fight with Francesca, but Shannon lost that fight. So I believe that those plans are in limbo, at least for now, at least until such a time as Shannon can get herself back in the winner's bracket. So I don't know who young Francesca is going to be fighting on this undercard.
Francesca.
It would be perfectly permissible to allow Francesca to go ahead with that fight with Shannon, even though Shannon's coming off a loss, because Francesca's only 5-0. Those are the kind of fighters that you see a fighter fight this early in their career. Veteran journeymen, journeywomen, and former champions.
They could still do it.
So you really can't read that much into it, while Shannon Courtenay is coming off a loss.
Francesca.
Boxing is a family business for Francesca Hennessy. She's a boxer, her brother's a boxer, their father was a promoter for a very long time. Us Brits will remember that he actually used to promote Tyson Fury before Frank Warren.
Francesca.
So while Francesca is expressing her discontent that her fight was not yet finalized, she's not a fighter you're going to give the runaround. She knows the business, her father does.
At least well enough that if you're gonna summon her to the presser, at least have her fight finalized.
Otherwise, what are you calling her for? I wonder that Francesca won't end up changing her decorum down the line. That maybe she might migrate to a Matchroom or a Queensbury once her arrangement with Boxer is up.
That's what Shannon Ryan did. She's at Matchroom now.
Maybe one day Francesca will go there, somewhere else. She's clearly not happy. In men's super bantamweight news, ahead of Inoue's latest defense of the undisputed crown at 122 pounds, Bob Arum had this to say.
In his last few fights, he's fighting 122-pound guys, and he's always the smaller guy. Even when he goes to 126, which they're talking about going to, he's gonna be massively smaller than the fighters he fights when he goes up. If he goes up to 135, that is not gonna be fair. No, there is no way that I can see Gervonta Davis and that fight happening, really. The size difference is monumental.
Now, Bob Arum is addressing this because there's some desire in some circles, small ones here in America, for Inoue to move up to 135 for Gervonta.
It's mostly just Gervonta Davis fans keeping that conversation alive. Well, I guess all of a sudden don't understand how weight classes work, that Inoue is a fighter so small, he actually started out all the way down there at light flyweight. And all these years later, at super bantamweight, he really isn't the biggest or the beefiest super bantamweight, far from it. A move to 126 would be risky. A move to 135 would be ludicrous. And that anybody would advocate for such a move for a Gervonta Davis fight is likely only doing so because they're a big Gervonta Davis fan, and they want to maintain this illusion that he's the best and brightest in the sport by beating someone so much smaller than he is.
Now, it is important to note that in spite of the factions of fans and what they may say to each other, Inoue and Gervonta themselves as fighters share a mutual respect. They are not at odds with each other the way their fans are at odds with each other. Just the other day, Gervonta Davis wished Naoya Inoue luck on his upcoming fight.
Just to put it to rest, though, Bob Arum is right. Inoue is not a big guy. Not big at all. The idea he's gonna one day go to 135 for Gervonta of all people, put that conversation to rest, because that ain't ever gonna happen.
It's ridiculous. Bob Arum continued, he likened Naoya Inoue to Filipino legend Manny Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao was a great champion. Was great for boxing. His career is legendary. Inoue's career is even more legendary because, unlike Manny, he's gone through one division after another without losing.
It's a conflicting statement. It's conflicting to say that Inoue is far too small to move up to 135, and in the same breath say that he's got a more legendary career than Manny, who climbed up not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, 8 divisions, 8 weight classes.
So where do you get that Inoue's career is already more legendary than Manny's? In all likelihood, Inoue won't become a champion at 6 or 7 or 8 weights like Manny did.
Their careers are great in their own way. It's really great, and it's really something that Inoue has been a champion across 4 divisions and undisputed in 2 of them. Manny never did that. Manny never became undisputed. In fact, Manny never so much as unified a title in any of the divisions that he fought in. He never did that.
But what Manny lacks in unification matches and undisputed runs, he makes up for in top-tier competition, high-quality fighters that you can argue Manny fought better fighters than Inoue has fought so far. Hall of Famers. Marco Antonio Barrera, more than once. Eric Morales, more than once. Juan Manuel Marquez, 4 times. Timothy Bradley, 3. These are Hall of Famers, all these guys. Margarito, Miguel Cotto, Ricky Hatton, Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya. No, Manny never unified a title, and he was never an undisputed champion, but he more than makes up for it in quality fights with high-quality fighters, quality scalps, better than the fighters that Inoue has fought so far. So I wouldn't say that Inoue is having a more legendary career so far than Manny's was. I wouldn't jump to that conclusion. And you have to wonder what happens the day that Inoue loses. Because great fighters like Inoue, they don't stay unbeaten. Oftentimes, they're too brave for their own good. And if one day Inoue loses or gets stopped, can he come back from it like Manny did? Manny's done it more than once. Back in 1999, he was stopped in 3 rounds by Bunsai Seng Surat. Needless to say, given everything Manny went on to accomplish after that, he more than rebounded. He was stopped violently again in the 4th Juan Manuel Marquez fight 3 years later. But that didn't stop him. Even after dropping a decision in the long-anticipated, long-awaited Floyd Mayweather fight, Manny kept going, kept fighting. Became a WBO champion again by beating Jesse Vargas, loses to Jeff Horn, bounces back, becomes WBA champion, beating unbeaten Keith Thurman. See, what you have to ask yourself is, when push comes to shove, will Inoue show that same resilience, that same durability, wherewithal, that you can lose and come back from it? Can Inoue do that? We don't know. And that's not a knock on Inoue, but most fighters don't exhibit the resilience that Manny Pacquiao has throughout his entire boxing career. So to say now that Inoue's already more of a legend than Manny, I think that's just recency bias from Bob, and I think he's just saying that, well, because he promotes Inoue now, whereas Manny's gone, Manny's done, Manny's retired. Bob always does that. He always blows things out of proportion. It's what he did with Vasyl Lomachenko when he first started promoting him.
Vasyl Lomachenko is the greatest fighter I've seen since Muhammad Ali.
And now he's doing it with Inoue.
Naoya Inoue is the greatest fighter I've seen since Muhammad Ali.
He's just the promoter doing what promoters do. I don't hold it against him, but I don't agree with him either. I don't think Inoue has surpassed Manny Pacquiao in terms of legendary status, even if he's done 1 or 2 things that Manny didn't do in terms of meat and potatoes. Manny's resume's an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a smorgasbord. Manny Pacquiao has fought a lot, and I mean a lot, of good fighters across a lot of divisions. They're both legends in their own way, but I would not say that Inoue has surpassed Manny. No, I wouldn't say that. And it's almost unfair to compare an active fighter's career, a career that is still ongoing, to the career of somebody like Manny Pacquiao, who you already know has already done so much. Let Inoue do what he's doing, and then when his career is over, then let's compare them. Because Inoue is a great fighter. I'm a big fan of the guy. I've been a fan of him for years, but I wouldn't rush to the conclusion that Bob is rushing to. Bob's got a job to do, and that's what he's doing. I don't hold it against him, but I don't agree with him either. Men's welterweight news. Brian Norman versus Derek Cuevas has been rescheduled for March 29th on the Mayer versus Ryan undercard in Vegas. Brian Norman Jr. hopes his rescheduled welterweight title defense leads him back towards the 147-pound championship unification fight he wants. The Ring has learned Norman's 12-round fight with Derek Cuevas has been rescheduled for March 29th in Vegas. ESPN will air Norman versus Cuevas as promoter Top Rank's co-feature of the night for WBO Women's Welterweight Champion rematch between Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan at Fontainebleau. Norman, 26-0 with 20 KOs, a hard-hitting, fan-friendly fighter from Conyers, Georgia, was supposed to oppose Puerto Rico's Cuevas, 27-1 with 1 draw, 19 knockouts, on November 8th at the Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia.
Better not lose this fight.
The 24-year-old Norman needed more time, however, for his left hand to heal from an injury he sustained while training in July. Norman, whose hands have given him trouble for much of his 7-year pro career, had surgery on his left hand last June. He previously underwent surgery on his right hand in June of 2023. His fight versus Cuevas will mark Norman's first fight since he won the WBO title by knocking out Giovanni Santillán 33-1 with 18 knockouts in the 10th round of their fight.
Norman's handlers negotiated with British promoter Eddie Hearn in an attempt last summer to land a championship unification clash with IBF champion Jaron Ennis. Dissatisfied with what would have been a career high purse in excess of $1.5 million, Norman went in a different direction. Philadelphia's Ennis, 33-0 with 29 KOs, one no contest, is scheduled to battle WBA champion Amontes Stanionis, 15-0 with 9 KOs and one no contest in another championship unification match. So for a perspective, this is a guy who wanted $2 million, nothing short of $2 million for a fight with Jaron Ennis, while he's boxing on everybody else's undercards, since the people at Top Rank don't see it fit to have him headline his own show, because he can't.
And this is the same guy claiming to be lowballed by Eddie Hearn.
I am so sick of seeing these fighters that nobody really knows outside of hardcore boxing fans pretending that they're bigger draws than what they are, or that they deserve more money than what they're offered. Listen, buddy, if you were that big a draw, you'd be headlining your own shows.
Not for the stupid shit. Not for your father's sound bites. Not for your father doing the rounds on all the podcasts.
All you guys did turning down Eddie Hearns' offer was waste your own time, because Jaron Ennis is going to have a unification match with or without you, and you're still boxing on somebody's undercard.
Better not lose that fight.
Ennis versus Stanionis is expected to be announced Friday morning during a press conference in Vegas. Meanwhile, Cuevas has won each of his 4 bouts by knockout since he lost the 6th round split decision to Damian Elzekiel, then 23-8, in December of 2020 in Miami. Now he's fighting Brian Norman. This is Brian's first defense at a brown belt, and he's got to make it through it, because if he doesn't, man alive,
What a fumble.
you won't have $1 million or $1.5 or $1.7 million to turn down if you lose to this guy, and you might.
At Top Rank, you might. Because who would have figured that so soon after his career best knockout win over Alexis Rocha, Giovanni would get knocked out himself by Brian Norman. You're not safe over there. Nobody is. I can't stress that enough.
So the idea that you're just gonna sit pretty squatting on that belt waiting for somebody to offer you a small fortune when you can't draw flies to shit.
Wake up and smell of mediocrity.
All you did was waste your own time, because you could have had this fight last year if you liked your chances. The real reason you didn't is because you don't.
But it's still your best bet to get at a 7-figure purse. It might be your only bet to get at one, because I don't think Top Rank is breaking the bank to see you fight Cuevas on an undercard.
Brian Norman's father has spent enough time trying to spin this into something that it isn't, something that it ain't, in the subsequent months that have followed their rejection of Eddie Hearn's offer, but it's still the only real offer on the table for you. Nobody else is offering you nothing.
For all the bleeding hearts that tried to pipe up in defense of Brian Norman, has anyone offered this man anything semblant of 1.5 or 2 million since then?
No! Nobody has!
Nothing is not an alternative. You understand that? Nothing is not an alternative for something that when you get back out there in the open market and nobody offers you nothing, that ain't better than what you were just offered.
It's not a substitute, it's just more evidence that you're asking for too much. You better get rid of this Puerto Rican kid. You better get rid of Cuevas, because if you lose, you will fast become the laughingstock of the welterweight division for the opportunity that you just blew.
And after everybody's done having fun with that, you will fade into obscurity for having lost the only bit of leverage you had, because it sure as hell wasn't your marquee value.
Hang on to that brown belt for dear life. You better hang on to that belt,
Don't let Derek take it from you.
because that's your meal ticket.